Just absolutely no reason for this woman to be in prison. My name is Paula Wiles. I retired in 2011 from the Michigan Department of Corrections. She just warms your heart, and so we're doing all we can here at our church and the community to try and get her released from prison. We would just love to have her come to our church every Sunday and be part of us.
She's a very gentle spirit. I admire that in her. I immediately offered her a place to live. This would be her room.
She's not a threat to society.
She's all the time trying to do, with no budget, she still does nice things for you.
In March of 2015, we attended her public hearing. There was the judge waiting for us. He had flew up from Florida specifically to speak at her parole hearing.
I had never been to a parole hearing in my life. I never represented anybody at a parole hearing. And so this was a new experience for me to be able to try to assist Karen Kantzler by going up to Jackson and testifying at her parole hearing. And it was a
And he just emphasized to us before we went in, I had no intentions of her being in prison 29 years.
She was grilled, and it was almost, it seemed to me that it was a court case all over again. They just grilled her on the same questions over and over.
He wasn't interested in anything about her behavior during prison. He wasn't interested in whether or not she was rehabilitated.
And he kept saying that, I don't believe you, I don't believe you. And of course then her neck got shaken so, and her hands got shaken so, and she was trying to calm herself and say the right things at the right time, and you could just tell it. But Paula and I sat there, and the tears streaming down our face, just praying that she would say the right things at the right time, and it would all work.
I don't think he was interested in what her behavior had been in prison. I don't think he was interested at all in whether she'd been rehabilitated. I don't think he even asked a question such as that. He was cross-examining her to try to establish that she premeditatedly went up to him while he was sleeping and murdered him. So he was asking her to testify differently than that she did at trial, apparently, which would mean, in effect, that she perjured herself at trial. And until she would be willing to hang herself at this parole hearing, he wasn't going to countenance her being set loose. I frankly thought that was disgusting.
I feel it was really counterproductive. It's like he didn't even listen to Judge Lippett at all during the whole hearing, didn't listen to any of the witnesses. He kept just badgering her.
There was nobody in the audience that objected to her release. In fact, my recollection is somebody came in all the way from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, I believe, to testify in her behalf in a snowstorm, and didn't even know her. He just felt that justice wasn't being done by keeping her in jail. Only one parole officer was at the hearing, that she probably voted in favor of releasing her. But
the public hearing failed to convince the Michigan Parole Board that Karen Kantzler no longer poses a risk to the public. Upon careful review and deliberation,
the other parole officers, all they did was look at a bare transcript, which in and of itself is unfair. And they don't get to look at the demeanor of the witness, her physical condition, and they read a cold transcript sometime later after the court reporter's notes are transcribed. And how the hell can they possibly justify a decision one way or the other without seeing the witness, seeing the defendant.
Therefore, the Michigan Parole Board takes no interest in proceeding further with this case. Wow, that is not what we heard come out of all the witnesses. You know, that's not what they conveyed to us when they told us that, you know, her scores were high, that she would not be a menace to society, you know, that she would be, you know, has a place to go. Very shocked to read that paragraph, because that's not what was conveyed to us while we were there. We were just very shocked to find out they turned her down. Just couldn't believe it, really.
My wife happened to accompany me there. She was crying throughout the whole proceeding. She was very upset. I was upset when I learned the decision.
She's taken nearly every class offered by the Michigan Department of Corrections. Parole guideline evaluation score is 17, 6 times higher than it should be. Really, folks. Not one ticket.
You said
She's never gotten a ticket. Never heard of that. The officers are out there writing tickets right and left. And here she never got one. She needs to come home, as you know. Don't you think it's unfair that the other 9 weren't there? If you're not there, you can't feel the impact. You know what I mean? It's very sad.
She starts her morning every morning with a devotional period, and that brings her closer to God and gives her the strength to get through the day. It also gives her the grace that she needs to bestow to others so that she doesn't have to react to situations. And so that keeps her out of trouble. She has no marks to this day. She has no marks on her record for all of her time served in prison.